come out with a new member.
Thanks.
It's been hang on. It's been too long since you were first recommended. So before we do anything else, I want to welcome you and let you give you a minute or so to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Richard Cho. I'm a daily rider of the Port Jervis line from Suffolk. And I've been riding since 2011. And I work in Lower Manhattan, so I take the train to Hoboken and then I switch the path. But there are plenty of occasions due to the nature of my work where I am traveling throughout the city or going up to Westchester, White Plains, or all around or out to Newark. So I'm riding like all the different modes of transportation we have in the area. So,
That makes you a good member.
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I don't even remember.
It was 3 years from the time the county executive said, do you want to do it? And I was just wondering if they had gotten any better.
It could have been only
Was
2 years.
at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Was my earliest record that I found, but I
That's
think it
fine.
may have been longer than that.
If they really do something, take them forever.
So
Here's, so Brian and I and Kara, maybe Jack, had a conversation with the governor's office about how it takes so long to get somebody appointed and almost literally the next week there you are. So,
You have full.
well, no, we have, we complain nicely.
One share.
That's amazing that it turned around that quickly.
You know, it could be coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully. And I don't know if you saw, but Joan McDonald is being elevated to deputy county executive.
Okay. All right. So thank you again and welcome. So the first item is to approve the agenda. So I'll make the motion to approve it. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We have an agenda. The minutes were nicely prepared by the staff for the last meeting we had in November. I'll make a motion to approve it. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? All right, so we're done with that. All right, so my chair's report was distributed. It was quite a long, I know a lot of stuff been going on since we last met. So
It's on the side of the TV.
Sorry, Randy, we're just trying to raise the volume a little.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
let me just,
oh,
hang on. I'm
No,
gonna
it was-
just give us 1 second. I'm just gonna swap you our laptop audio. As it goes higher. Okay. Yeah, let me just,
Hello.
Okay, can you hear us?
yeah,
Randy,
I hear you perfectly.
is this volume better for everyone?
Yeah. Okay,
That was just Rich, right?
no, that was Randy.
No, okay, that.
Yeah.
The number?
That's Rich.
What?
Oh, Rich Cottagio, is that you?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
okay.
Just wanted to make sure that you were on the call. Thanks. Okay,
Excellent.
sorry, Randy, you can continue. We can hear you
All
better.
right.
Great.
So, and well,
Hold on.
the report starts off describing all the changes that were done to the ticketing, but you've already heard that to ad nauseum. But I guess we will talk about the issues, the major issues that have come up since the implementation of those. So I'm not going to go back and review all of that. And the ridership numbers are up, and that's great, and they're very happy about that. And so that pretty much is my report. So at some point, we're going to be talking about the issues that came up in the last few days since and these ticketing procedures went into effect. So I'll hold off on any more discussion on it. So I'll give it over to Lisa to talk about her report.
Thank you. And the first thing I want to do really is to. There, I see you there.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody, and especially the team for, taking care of business in such a stellar, amazing, particularly awesome way in my absence. Everybody, I mean, Brian, Kara, Jack, Jess, Benji, Henry, really just like, I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with. So thank you all very much. Even as Jack is ditching us, today is his last day. We've had an amazing run with him, who Jack has really powered through and getting our legislative work. Really moved to a point where people know that we're PCAC, not PCAC. Largely, but well, they do now. They're getting there. We talked about the importance of continuing our presence and continuing to push forward with the efforts that we made, including rider representation and some of the other efforts. We were thrilled. I think it's through no small part. It had everything to do with the efforts that we made that were really seriously pursued by Jack in person in Albany, despite the fact that Albany in person isn't always where everybody wants to be. That we have discounts for seniors, Medicare eligible, and disabled riders at all times of the day, and that family fare, or as I like to say, mid-kid, extends to 17-year-olds now on the railroads. That, obviously was enacted by the MTA board. It was something that the governor's office also heard loud and clear, and our elected officials did as well. So it's something that this council has been strongly supportive of, and we hear you, and we take that message and we use it, but we can't do it without an incredible team. So, and our partners at the railroads, partners at transit, our partners at HQ. So it's really a team effort, and thank you for being part of the team. And you can come back. You haven't left yet. So we do have an agenda item on some of the refund policy issues that we'll get to. I think separately, that's a larger conversation. Jack, do you want to say anything about your leaving us behind?
Yeah, just want to thank PCAC team, everyone at the councils, everyone I've come in contact with, Andy, all the Metro North, and all the employees I've met at the MTA have been just tremendous. It's been a great 2.5 years. It's a very unique role, very cool. How many people can say that they get up every day and get to fight for transit riders all across the region? And it's a regional focus. I've ridden every single Metro North line during my time here. I'm very proud to say.
On your first day.
On my first day. Well, not all of them. And yeah, just can't thank you all enough. It's bittersweet. I feel a real gratitude for my time here. So,
And what's your name?
City Legislative Manager at Open New York.
And what do you do there?
It's like a pro-housing advocacy group. Yeah. That's a hot topic.
Yeah. Housing and transit, perfect together. So, Brian, do you want to talk about some of the other things that we're?
Yeah, so we're really busy at the city, state, and federal levels, in addition to all our continued internal advocacy at the MTA, especially around fair policy and the other pieces, the omni transition, things that are moving. We just put out we just had a briefing showing off our state legislative agenda, which includes some fun new items in addition to some old favorites. we have a few pieces, like our Rider Rep Act to give our board members a vote that is going to be back up in Albany, in addition to some fare incentives like our One City, One Fare Act, which would combine the city fare zones, of which there are 6, into one, which we think is an interesting piece that would make commuting more seamless and affordable for folks, especially who want to use like a weekly or monthly pass on the railroads.
That's right now, the city ticket is that, but it's not for
Yeah,
everybody.
you can take a city ticket for $5.25 or $7.25, depending on if it's peak or off peak, but there's a huge variability between the monthly and weekly pass rates, depending on where you live. So unifying them would make traveling on the railroads in the city much simpler. We are continuing to fight for free transfers for those folks, like the Atlantic ticket used to have to subways and buses as well. What's the final piece of that? Oh, it would allow you to transfer seamlessly between the railroads as well. Now that they share a roof right under our feet here at Grand Central, and sometimes at Penn Station once Penn Station access gets implemented. So we're excited about that bill. We have a couple others that we're pushing for as well. Always happy to talk in more detail about that at some other point, but yeah, we're going to be sad to miss Jack as we do our advocacy around those bills and more up in Albany, but we're going to continue working on that. At the city level, we obviously are continuing to fight for faster buses, as well as an expansion of the Fair Fares program, and having some interesting conversations about what that might look like outside of the city as well, if we were to have a Fair Fares program outside New York City. There's a lot of ideas floating around, so probably more to come on that in the not too distant future. Yeah, I think those are a lot of the high points. We put out a report on Fair Fares called what did we end up? Universally affordable transit.
Yes,
universal
affordable transit.
Yeah, so that detailed our expansion policies, and is focusing our efforts with Riders Alliance and Community Service Society, who have been our long-term partners on the issue. So more to come on that.
If you wanted to say that would increase fare fares to 300% of the federal poverty level.
Yeah, it's 5 points. Expanding it to 300% of the federal poverty level at half price, making it fully free under 150%, which is its current level, expanding it to the commuter rails and express buses around the city, reforming the enrollment process to make it more seamless and easy. Unfortunately, only about a third of eligible New Yorkers are signed up for that program, and closing some of the loopholes for folks that have come to our attention, like allowing seniors to continue to get a discount after they've technically aged out of the program when they hit 65. But yeah, that's a city-focused piece of work, but we think there's opportunities to expand it outside of the city limits in the not too distant future that we're excited about exploring. Yeah, otherwise it's been a busy start to the year, a lot happening with items coming up in the state budget and hopefully the city budget. So more to come on all those pieces as well.
Yeah,
Great.
It's very busy with and we'll have one less person. Thanks, Jack. Right at the start of the legislative year. The governor did her had her state of the state on Tuesday, which had some great transit proposals in it. So, just reinforcing her position as a transit focused and infrastructure focused governor, and that included extending the 2nd Avenue line to 125th Street West. So we're going across 125th Street. So that would enhance connectivity from the 125th Street Metro North Station, which would be a real benefit for riders coming from all over, well, from so many points in Metro North territory as well. And, we're looking forward to supporting that and her other proposals. In fact, we called her State of the State of Love Letter for to transit riders, which, not everybody's going to support that in our
in our colleagues in advocacy, but I think she's really shown her chops there. And the budget comes out next week. And we'll see what some of the, I think Tuesday, and we'll see what some of the more specific details are of what is being asked for. Affordability is, continues to be the top level agenda. So we to be continued and to be continued because it's never ending, except in June when the session ends, and then we just start over. But sounds like we're going to have a new chair of the Transportation Committee in the City Council. So we're going to rely on Jack to make that acquaintance and then go poach that relationship.
Oh, I'd also say we were really happy to stand with the governor and mayor on the first anniversary of the implementation of congestion pricing a couple weeks ago. A lot to come on Metro North improvements from those funds, which we detailed in Randy's report.
Research plug. We're working on a few reports that are in the early stages of development. One of which, a lot of them are city and ridership focused that Benji is working on. Henry is in the early stages of a report on wayfinding and signage. So I know we have a lot of rail fans and experienced rail riders in the room and on the Zoom. If anyone has any really great signage or examples of design of stations that you've seen and riding around, please feel free to send those my way, and we can take those into account.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is social media update.
Yeah. This one, it's a long one. So buckle your seatbelts.
Okay.
Riders were not thrilled about many of the new fare policies, in particular, tighter ticket expiration window and $8 surcharge for failing to activate the ticket in the loss of the 10 trip. I'll just go through some quotes. One rider said, "Please change the ticket expiration. It's completely unfair. I go into the city twice a week, so monthly is not worth it. I used to keep an extra 1 or 2 peak tickets in the app as emergency tickets, and sometimes the reception at Grand Central isn't good enough to get one." Another said, "Be careful. Now, even if you had a ticket on your app and when the Wi-Fi or cell data doesn't work to activate your ticket," well, sorry, it's not the best one grammatically. "Once it does work while en route, they will charge you $8 for activation on board, even though you had bought that ticket." Another rider said, "One-way tickets that expire the same day will have me driving." Several called upon.
And that's the way to threaten the MTA. Don't pay that $9, so save the $8. Yeah.
Several called upon the MTA to reinstate the 10 trip option, with one saying, "As a senior who commutes into the New York City 3 days a week, I now need to buy a new round trip reduced fare ticket each day I commute. What was so wrong with the 10 trip option? New plans should increase convenience, not decrease it." Several also called upon the railroad to enhance Wi-Fi to ensure people are able to activate their ticket prior to departure. And then finally, one rider called on the quiet car to be reinstated, as always. Yeah, it's very consistent.
The ticket expiration, recognize anytime you make a change, people don't react well to change. But also keep in mind that when people are hustling to get to the train, you don't always activate your ticket in advance. But because it is I think people, because I was looking at, like, for today, do I buy my ticket ahead? No, you can't buy it ahead of time because it's a day ticket. But when you get out of the shower, you could buy your ticket, right?
Yeah.
And so my point is, one, recognize that change is always not welcome. This may need to be tweaked because it would, in my view, it would be nice to be able to have an extra ticket in queue. But then you would activate it. And see, now I can't even, because you're doing stuff, and then you're running to the train and you're old and stuff like that. You know? But in terms of if you don't activate it before getting on, I think that's solving the problem. You know, it's like you activate your ticket, otherwise you get charged for it. So in my view, that you've got to keep. And for us, we just have to know First thing in the morning, if you're gonna get on a train, activate your ticket.
I think there is like an amnesty period too, where if you don't do it the first few times, they're like, they give you a heads up. It's like,
So
in the future, you'll.
there's-
The third time
Third
they're
time.
actually getting a charge.
Yeah.
That also resets it. 3 times within a designated.
Know that, cause see,
We're not telling them how long it takes for them to reset, and it actually says you get a warning, and you get a second warning, you have to
Okay.
acknowledge, and then the third time is when you say you get this.
so as long as you get a warning, I think it's not right to charge somebody $8 the first time. But if, it's just like a traffic ticket, if you get a warning, it's like, you know, to slow
People are getting
down.
A lot of warnings. These are people who are gaming the system.
Yep.
And
You're just looking to stop.
and the claim that, oh, I can't activate my ticket, you don't need service to activate your ticket. And that can be done, as long as in the wallet, it can be done once you're there, because that's local.
But that gets back to, you
So
have to
that's-
activate it when you buy it.
You don't have to
No,
activate.
you don't have to
That was something
activate it
that was
when you
actually put
buy it.
back by ECAC,
Right.
which is automatic activation, which is one of the reasons why we don't have that, where you actually have to go for a day and have to take the second step to activate it. You have to activate it when you get on the train, not when the conductor's in front of you.
Right,
Okay,
right, but
wait,
you have to, but if you, when you buy it, it's good till 4 a.m. the next day. So you can't put it in your wallet and assume
Right,
that you're
that's-
gonna have one for coming home on Wednesday.
Yeah,
The other, so, and if you activate it when you are leaving your house and your train is canceled, your ticket is good for a certain period of time, the length of your commute plus a buffer period.
Mhm.
But if you,
It's activated, it's good for about 4 hours, if I remember
I
correctly.
think-
If you can miss a couple, you can miss a train, there's no window where you would have to have a cascading effect of lost train.
I think we heard from somebody in Mineola that it was good for 90 minutes for their train. That was a 25-minute trip when we were in Jamaica. Isn't that what we
It
heard
was-
from?
Brian Paranzo, I believe,
Yeah.
had said that he activated his ticket and he was checking once he was in the room how much time it said he had left, and it was about 90 minutes to 2 hours from the time that he had activated it.
Maybe 2 hours,
Yeah.
you know, it's
So
longer.
it depends on the length of, but if you're coming from Montauk, I'm saying this because we were
Yeah.
on the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council meeting where we had this, well, I'm going to say robust conversation about this.
Very angry about it.
Yeah, they're much angrier on the Long Island. Yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah. So that was a concern. The Verizon outage also raised some concerns. And the only thing I saw on Reddit was a question about Verizon outage is going to cause problems for people who are trying to buy their ticket at the last moment, which is
Well, that would be,
true.
if you're buying at the last moment, that would be an issue, but also I'll have to check. Typically during outages of that nature, we waive onboard fees.
That's not what we heard
So I don't know what happened yesterday.
railroad, but
I don't know what happened yesterday, but typically that's generally, if there's a large scale outage of that nature, that's what we would do.
that would be good if you could find that out.
I have to find
for
that.
us.
Yeah, it's like image.
The other wrinkle in all that though is, communicating out to the conductors that there is a large scale outage and that we're waiving fees on any given day.
Yeah.
Is
That's
not
right.
necessarily something that we can do, because also we're on Verizon.
Right.
So I know a number of our phones were affected.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be on their phone, so how would we know? Like, how would they know?
They do get, though they do get service notifications that they're supposed to be able to check before they start. They're not supposed to be on their phones like making phone calls, but they actually have a company issued phone that has.
Oh, okay. So interestingly, I was talking to somebody who rides every day, who said that he gets his ticket every day and he screenshots it before he leaves his house. So even though his screenshot doesn't work, but that way he can show he bought it. And I thought that was,
Cover.
yeah, kind of clever I mean, that's not something I would do, but maybe,
If you're really
that's-
worried, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was that we were hearing. We had, as I said, we had a very robust conversation about the fare policies, about the lack of 10 trips.
Do like the comment from the woman who is now paying significantly less. I think estimate there, man, I don't know, the senior who now is paying significantly less, but actually has to buy every day versus the 10 trip, which would have cost them, which the 10 trip was only peak or off peak and wasn't have had the senior.
There's no gender noted, so it could be either.
It could be either.
Also, a PPAC initiative, yes.
But so I do know that they're paying significantly less and still complaining. So no
Damned if
good,
you do, damned if you don't.
right, no good deed goes unpunished there. I think that was my favorite of the social media
Yes. I think that, I heard this morning from friends who were totally shocked that there was a fair policy change, totally shocked, because they apparently just came out of the cave where they're going to get the ground up next week. Even though I've been telling them this for months, and they are bemoaning, yeah.
jumping up and down as loud as we can, waving.
These are my friends. They think they don't listen to me. So.
I've had people complaining that there's no signs while I'm standing in front of a sign.
Yeah.
So
But the thing that I hear the most is the lack of the loss of the tension. And one of the things I read on Reddit, which I find to have the most sane conversation. Robust, but sane, is that they're, calling for an extended time period. And also to have a 2-trip bonus so that you can actually get home, or after 9 trips to make it 11, so that it's a round trip that you get as opposed to 1 trip. Because otherwise you just get one place and then you have one way and then you have to.
You start your next 10.
Then you.
start the next 10, it's kind of a cumulative then.
And then I'm also seeing that people aren't getting credit for a trip. So I don't know if they're using, you can only put one card in your wallet, but maybe they're.
No, you can have multiple cards.
Okay, so maybe they're, I don't know if it's the same thing.
Probably different destinations. It has to be between the same destinations.
So that would be very helpful as
So, like,
communication for people.
And that's in the terms and that's there and that's been put out and it's on the flyers and on the posters. I know because I was handing them out 8,000 times.
But behind it needing to be the same destination is what?
10 trip would only be the same destination as well. It's
But it's the
because
same zone, but it doesn't have to be the same station.
it's same zone. Sorry, it's by destination. All of our things are zone based. So
Yeah.
the difference between New Rochelle and Larchmont in there isn't because it's the same zone. Anything is just marked by zone. So it's by destination, it's just zone. So, and the reason for that is like once you change zones, you're different pricing. We are giving people the advantage that off-peak tickets still count for this, and you only have to pay those at the off-peak price, which is much different. And your bonus 11 is always going to be a peak ticket. So there's actually a lot of advantages to this compared to the 10 trip when you're actually talking about dollars and cents for a person who's using it.
If you have to do it in a time period that if you're commuting 3 days a week, it's not.
3 days a week, you would get it.
Instead 6.
But it's within.
It's not round trips, it's single direction.
Right.
It's each trip.
Yeah.
So it's 6 days of commuting will be 12 trips. So one of those 12 will be free.
I think one thing that had come up in our testifying journey, I'll call it, is that for riders who commute infrequently, there's some math and calculation that has to be done between whether the day pass is the most financially beneficial to them or this 10 rides in 2 weeks thing, because
if you're commuting infrequently, 12 trips a month is the break-even point for a monthly pass. 12.
But then they should think we have 10 trips. The 10 trip thing is bonus a month, not in 11 days.
Just one issue is that the day pass, which is being sort of branded as the alternative to the old round trip, because you can't do a round trip anymore, that day pass does not qualify as trips in those 10 rides. So I think either that should be included in there, or people should just, I think just people are a little confused about what actually makes the most sense for them financially. So I think we've been Someone brought up a potential calculator.
Who has his hand raised?
Yes, Mike, would you like to go?
Sure. No, I had suggested it would make sense to have some sort of fare optimizer, functionality on the website, right? That can allow people to go in and tell them. I agree that a lot of these things are teething pains. I did have a colleague here at my office who bought 3 day passes on Tuesday morning because they were going to come into the office 3 days this week and had to get to Grand Central and ask for 2 refunds. So
Did they get it?
they filled out a form and they're expecting to get it in the mail.
They were paper tickets.
They were paper tickets.
No, I don't think so because I don't know, but it was a day pass.
Either way.
Anyway, but
being done via chat, and we're doing a lot of grace, and we're doing a lot of refunds over the first month, anything of that nature. The same thing with the paper tickets. We're giving a lot of grace and not doing a lot of share as well. So we're doing a lot of information. We understand that people that are going to be some growing pains. Again, this is a policy that's 11 days old. So
yeah.
But I do think the fare optimizer is probably something you could build, relatively straightforwardly. And that would be a decent addition. The bigger question I wanted to raise is anybody doing any audits? I have a Facebook post that randomly showed up in my feed. Is anybody doing any audits on whether the day passes are effectively, they're supposed to change price for weekends, right? The day pass weekend fare is supposed to be the off-peak round trip fare. I've got photographic evidence from Irvington last Saturday that the day pass was still running the weekday price on the vending machine. So I don't know if that's being audited anywhere.
I can check with our team. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
I'll share that. I'll share that post with the PCAC group.
Yes, also a question that I have, when you go to purchase a ticket and we have this mid-kid option.
Sorry, guys. No, I love it, baby.
I don't think we show the age that's applicable when you're buying the ticket. Your mom, you're trying to buy that family ticket. Does it show the applicable age?
I think it just says family.
Because when I looked, it just said family, and that's going to keep a lot of people from effectively using it. Because what we have to keep in mind is, you guys know what the policy is. This is a major. I rode the railroad forever, every day, and it's like, this is the biggest change that occurred in my 30 plus years of riding Metro North. So it's important that we can communicate, and putting the age on there, I think would be helpful.
all you have to do is click link above when it says what ages it is.
No. See, that's the problem. I am buying the ticket for my kid. It's right at the ticket. It should say
Put
family.
back here and say, it doesn't say any ages. It's never said any ages because you have to fit things in a screen and have it make information that is available and usable. So people actually have a usable AI user interface. Yeah. There's not enough room to have enough information. If you're listing out all of the ages and all of the different
things. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you because this is new and different. To put in parentheses ages, what through what?
I mean, I think it's one thing to have someone click on the terms and conditions. I think it's another, there's all sorts of pop-ups in the app all the time. There were ones warning that the fare adjustment would come. There's a lot of things people aren't happy about with the fare adjustment. Why not have something
was included in those things of the change?
Really? I mean, when I was riding Metro North, I saw a fare change coming. If
you have to click on the banner to see what all the changes were, but this was one.
Well, what I'm saying, why not?
There's a quick reference, like a quick, this one.
Why not have specific promotions around AMC?
Like under 18.
Right. Because here is the problem. And then you're frustrated because you put all the effort in here. And when you're doing change and when you're putting systems together, you have to look at it from the standpoint of the end user. And if I'm a mom and I got these 3 kids there, I'm on a platform in New Rochelle or wherever, and I click on that ticket and it said it should just say ages X to Y. That doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Those are quick reference. Like when you look at it quick, you want to know what you're clicking. So,
like child 5 to 7.
Take your time. We need to start taking the time out to read these different applications.
Yeah, I've got, I just did, so it says on my thing, it says one-way family, one-way child peak and one-way child off-peak as options. And it's $1, $10.75 or $7.75. I would always pick the dollar without clicking on any other button.
Other information, and trust me, as how we had dealt with this for years, no one knew it was at 12, and the number of 16-year-olds they were buying child tickets for, and having to have that fight with the conductors is pretty large. And it's eventually our guys push back when it became obvious, but now it's something they don't even have to have that conversation about.
So I clicked on the one that is the peak for the info, and it says it's between 5 and 11. Children ages 5 to 11 in either direction between 6 and 10 a.m. But then what about the up to 17-year-olds? The 12 to 17-year-olds.
For which one? Oh, for the
one-way child peak, and the one-way child off peak also still says 5 to 11.
So this gets into one of those wrinkles of eat fair policy.
The child's riding alone, they would buy the child ticket.
Child riding alone would buy the child ticket because they're not eligible for the discount. And if you're above 12 and riding without an adult, you're not eligible for the child ticket. You'd have to pay an adult fare.
But if you're 6 years old, you're not riding alone.
God, I hope not.
Right.
But that's how the fair policy is written. And it also has to go with another thing when you're talking about how things, that's the zone fare non-promotional. This is all of it. The $1 is still a promotional fare that was approved by the board that we're trying out, much like how the city ticket went from being promotional, there was still the zone rate and then there was the promotional fare, and you'll see both. That's what's showing up there. We've expanded the promotional fare, the child, this on a promotional basis. Next time we go through fare hearings, well, if it goes anything like the city ticket, it'll be the next time or the time after, something will be made permanent, and that'll be a permanent change to the tariff. But you're getting into very technical things about the tariff. And there's a reason we have it first. We have a reason that it has the best things, because most people are going to click on the one that's the cheapest, just like you said, and not going to try. And when they start digging through them, they're going to be confused and just go back to, well, my kid can qualify for the cheap one, so I'm going to go for the cheap one. Just as kind of a long way around it. But there is a lot of technical and legal reasons why we are still presenting all of the other ticketing options, even though they are worse options. We have a lot of things that we do that for, especially if you look at the PBMs, where we have old different fare things that we've been working to try and clear out, particularly when you're talking about unit tickets and things like that.
Right.
And then you have things where, like, we have unit ticket agreements with places that suspend their fares on some of their connecting services, but that doesn't, it's a temporary suspension, so that doesn't change what they're paying on this. Luckily, most people know that and don't end up not buying the unit ticket. There's lots of wrinkles when you start dealing with the legalities and what goes into these very complicated tariffs when you're talking about some of the contracts between us and what we're required to report out federally and all of these different levels. So right now we have it. It's going to be the cheapest option. We're doing the most information possible to get it out there. And that's why it can't just be child.
Because it's a provisional fare.
And it's only if they're riding with a fare paying adult.
Right. Right.
Because if you're
It's a
riding
family
by
fare.
yourself,
That's why it's technically a family fare.
Correct.
family fare, you get the benefit of having the higher ticket paid by the adult. So there's some, offset there.
With the city ticket, now that it's permanent, next up city ticket weekly, monthly. But so I haven't checked a TVM lately, but we're going downstairs later. So one of the things that the MTA had committed, I've heard that, committed to was having the first best lowest fare come up first.
Yep.
Right. So
that's
Right, and I tested this at Jamaica the other day. Now that it's baked into the fare structure, it does automatically give you the city ticket rate. So finally, at long last.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's good. Yeah. And just generally with ordering, just like the child ticket that we pulled up, it will only show the cheapest ticket first. And
Okay.
One question that came to me was, when a senior citizen pays a cash fare on a train, are they being charged that extra
No.
$8? Because somebody was charged it somewhere by mistake, obviously, but it happened. And that's why it came to my attention. I think it's been fixed. But the rule is senior citizens are not able
all
to
reduced
require
fares are not charged surcharge.
the way it's always been.
Correct.
Is there a special veterans fair on the railroads?
There's none.
We were just asked that, that's why I'm asking.
New Jersey Transit has it.
New Jersey Transit, is that half fare?
Yes,
Is that for active duty or for any veteran?
any veteran, but it also includes their family.
No.
Well, that's all.
They're
All right, now we kind of beat this thing to death.
Okay, thank you.
So did everybody get all their questions? I know there were a lot of comments from the rail fair community about this. But I'm gonna go
I did
with-
want to bring up the refunds situation. Mike got into it a little bit, and I'm not sure all the members are aware that the refund policy changed pretty drastically last week, along with the fare changes.
I will go as far to say, because you had sent me the question about the refund policy. I will go as far to say as the amount of people who know what the real refund policy was before, know what the refund policy is now, which is to say an infinitely small percent of the human. I do the public.
Now that there's these changes in
Yeah.
Can I be cynical here for a second? It is.
Yes, go ahead.
But it also isn't, because the amount of people who just thought their ticket wasn't refundable and didn't go for their refund, even though they could have validly gotten one, was rather large. So I think there's actually less people who are losing money on tickets that could have gotten refunded before. I think we're kind of, it's a small gap of a small cross section of people practically that are impacted. But yes, it does have a large impact, but the amount of people who were seeking refunds that they could have versus weren't. So it's
Okay, so the
a large
refund
change
window is
practically.
2 minutes for and train time, half hour. If you get a paper ticket, assuming there's a ticket office where you can speak to
My ticket agent, of which there were very few.
Yes.
Indeed, one of the concerns that we have about the refund policy is that it wasn't part of the fair hearings or the noticing. And somebody had raised to us that, what is it, the state tariff refund legislation,
a law
a law.
in place that says that if a ticket for any travel is not used, you were entitled to a full refund or that entire balance on that ticket or say MetroCard for 2 years past the expiration date. And so if there's now a shorter expiration window, there's questions regarding whether or not it's legal for people to not be able to access that fare if say it just expires.
6 months. So I don't think that obviously well, I have a law degree. I am not a lawyer for the MTA. So I will
There's
say
the details of this. This
I
is not
will
like
say that
saying this is illegal, but it
and
has
I
been
will,
raised.
I will say that the fact that knowing what ours was and that we didn't align with that means
Yes.
that
It's a more recent law, I think 2017. I'm not.
I
Yes.
we comply with all state laws.
Thank you.
That's one thing we're very good at.
Yeah.
We have a very good legal department that I work with very closely. I'm without knowing the details of the statute or anything like that, or what it applies to or how it applies. I can't tell you why we're exempt from that, except that I will say blindly with confidence that if we've been doing it for that way previously and it didn't comply with it, we were exempt for it for a reason, and that we continue to be exempt for it, so it continues to not apply for us. Will be my
I guess,
I will say with some level of faith.
yeah, that seemed like there were we had some questions about that.
Yeah.
The one that we didn't have, the one that we were concerned about was that it didn't seem to be noticed or raised as part of the fair hearings. And or discussed at the board table. And that was an issue.
I thought it was, because I know that it was part of the conversation much earlier as we were going through this, because the validity period was actually originally the validity period was it's instant activation. And if you don't use it, your ticket's invalid and you're done. So there was definitely a conversation about validity periods.
Right.
But then after that changed.
Then it became 1 day, and then the questions of it's like it became instant activation one time, and there was definitely, when that change happened, there was definitely continued conversation about what it would be. I don't know how much attention I don't know if it got any attention afterward, but I know that it was at least part of the conversation, and definitely, I don't know how it was noticed. I'd have to go back and look, but I know that was a change that was made from the original proposal. So it was definitely part of the conversation.
As I would say the word ad nauseum, in terms of how much time and effort we put into really learning about the proposals and reading the different
more as
policies and sitting through several hours of testimony.
So you might be the exception to the rule that I have. I was flyering for flying on the fare change, and one of the people I was flying with would ask people, do you know everything about the new fare policy? And at some point during this, it reminded me, anyone here a Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker fan, Rush Hour?
Yeah.
Rush Hour 2, I think it was. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth now? No one understands those. Do you understand the full fare policy? No one understands the full fare policy. Was really what came to my mind as she was walking around asking people this.
We're getting there, but we keep finding new things that confuse us deeply, and that we are working to change. And that is our job.
So
I would say one pain point for riders from a very practical standpoint, where I hope there might be a little flexibility that we've seen, is when trains are canceled and service is suspended, and they've purchased the ticket, but they're not able to use it because of suspended service.
They should write customer service in the app immediately, and they can issue them a refund.
Okay.
Just as a practical matter.
It doesn't read that way on the policy, but
they have discretion to they have instant discretion on those matters, even though it's not written that in the policy.
Okay.
It is just a practical matter. That's kind of how we've been, again, when people were buying like 10 tickets and realizing they couldn't use them today, refunding 9 of them. We have baked in discretion, even if it's not.
So would it be possible when the loudspeaker is telling you your train has been canceled, could they also say, do X if you've already bought your ticket? Train is canceled, they want
to operations and customer service about. I knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, blessedly, this is a really rare occurrence. I think we've spent more time on this than
on time. We've been very on time so far in the past 11 days, and I'm not sure if we've had many cancellations in the past 11 days. So I don't know what they're doing right now because it hasn't come up very often. And I'm going to knock on wood again because I've had too many nights of being up till 6 a.m. and we are out of service. So.
Seemed to be a certain thing to tell the people to take the next train. If a train should be canceled, take the next train and tell the crew of that train to honor these tickets.
Well, you can't always do that if you have to be at work.
Yeah.
Or you have an appointment and you have a choice of either getting on a bus or driving or
I gotta get an Uber,
from home.
like right now, it's like, forget it, I paid for a ticket and I got paid for an Uber.
Then it's,
Yeah.
Now I'm not getting a refund.
Again, that would
I'm
be-
angry. and I have
the
to-
practical thing is reach out to customer service. And they have a lot of latitude on those situations.
All right. Let's move on.
Communication policy to people, that's something that I can.
All right, can we move on to the next topic?
Maybe.
All right. It's old business. So Rich, do you have anything to update us from Orange County?
No, I have nothing.
Okay, so is there any other old business? All right, new business. Walt, do you want to talk about this noise thing or you don't want to talk about it?
Roz has her hand raised as
I
well.
was just going to ask, who's in charge of the actual station? As an example, I noticed in the New Rochelle station, they still have this dirty, ugly plastic thing that used to hold the paper tickets that you guys enjoy. And it's just an eyesore. So, it's just sitting there, nothing's in it. It's old, it's crappy. So I guess my first question is,
Take a picture of it, send it to me, and I can ask our
Yeah,
station.
take a picture and send it to the staff.
okay. And there's also a sign that's inaccurate and I forgot what it says, but I probably have a picture that I'm missing.
Yeah, do the same thing. Yeah, last year I found in Tarrytown, there were two freestanding kiosks. One had the current fares and one had the previous fares. So I sent it to Metro North and they immediately removed the other, the incorrect one, took it down right away. Hi, Walter, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I had mentioned to you folks a few months ago that some neighbors, well, they're not exactly neighbors, they live up the hill from the Crow and Harmon station. And they had brought a lawsuit against Metro North and MTA alleging nuisance and negligence regarding noise that allegedly comes from the Harmon shop area. And I know one of them got a hold of me way before that lawsuit was ever filed. And I said, that's out of our jurisdiction and the courts are always open and we can't do anything about it. So they did, they sued and they've now lost. The judge granted Metro North and MTA's motion for summary judgment the other day. So that is now gone. I don't know how the hell you got to run the railroad. It makes noise. And I don't know how they would expect to have this fixed if they would have prevailed. What could have been done to stop this noise? But anyway, Metro North and MTA have won. These people, according to one news report, say they're going to appeal to the appellate division. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But anyway, at this point, it's nothing to worry about.
Walter, is that the shops or a station?
It was the shops. They're allegedly concerned about noise that emits from the shops, running the diesel engines at night, and especially in the winter. I don't know how you get them all started in the morning if you didn't run them at night. But anyway,
But haven't they been running that way for years now?
that's not what.
Centuries.
Yeah.
It's been going on for decades, correct?
Centuries.
Yeah,
Actually.
But then that's since the early 1900s, because they had steam engines then they made slow. So it used to be worse. But
So when you're living there knowing that that's a possibility.
Yes.
Noise can occur.
yes, and when I was at Metro North, I used to get calls from people who were going to sue us, and they said, I bought a house and you got too many trains running by that railroad track by my house. And I said, well, where are you? Well, didn't you look for a timetable when you were going to buy a house in that area to see how many trains there were at that
No, they
time?
probably
They
did.
definitely did not.
They didn't do that.
No, the real estate man told me they were going to stop running trains on that line.
Fail.
True. So then I said, well, then you better sue the real estate man. Because you're not going to get anyone suing us.
I live across the street from a working train yard.
It's stupid, I believe.
Yeah, right. Right. So I live across the street from a 165-year-old working train yard.
But that's
Now,
what
in Long Island City,
It's there long before you.
long before me. And my building there are people in my building, especially during COVID, who complained about the noise. And I'm like, you put an apartment that faces the train yard. But they, this is LIC yard.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the person who was told by the real estate man that they're gonna stop running service.
But
Were they also a commuter? Did they plan on taking these trains to work on the good morning?
If they want to commute.
Just wanna know how.
Well, I had a lot of them.
So with regards to the noise of the engines, the charger locomotives, when they finally all come in service, when they're running, are they quieter running on the electric mode than they are in the diesel mode?
Yeah, the new ones.
They're quieter in diesel mode than the other old diesels. They're
Really?
oh yeah, they're a treat.
But they can't turn them off. I mean, they can't turn them off because if you turn them off, then all the systems shut down. So in my building and then my community has an arrangement that there are 5 trains that come in and out every day, 5, which destroys the opportunity for more service until there's a better engine locomotive solution. Destroys that and not just the locomotive but the other cars for better service to Long
They're
Island City.
much nicer to you guys than we are to any of our neighbors.
So this happened before me. I only helped with the bus stops, not the trains.
You know, something like this happened up in Wassaic, when I put this service on to Wassaic, and all of a sudden, the decision was made to run a late night train up there. That I don't know what time I left Grand Central, but I got up there after midnight. And so now we're getting complaints. You said in your environmental impact statement there would be trains running after midnight on the Wassaic extension. And I said, really? And yeah, it did say that. They put that in there, which I think my personal opinion was a mistake. In other words, you'd never commit to something like that. But anyway, that was done. And so the problem was solved by cutting that last train back to Dover Plains and deadheading it back to Brewster. And that was it. So now they have one less train serving Wassaic. That's what they wanted. That's what they got.
And it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
All right.
Way.
So are there any other items under new business?
So, yeah, I the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council voted to send a letter regarding some of the fare policy changes, particularly the refund policy, and wanted to see if the MNRCC wanted to see the letter, which we have not yet written fully, and because we wanted to have this meeting first and joined in. So since you haven't seen a letter, you can't say, I like that letter, but based on a letter, should you like it, would you be interested in participating and signing on? This would be an internal letter noting the council members, what the councils have seen, heard, noted about the fare policy changes and the refunds, and requesting some consideration of, we'll find a better word, tweaks over the over the coming to, particularly to the refund. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
So that would be a vote that you all would take if you were interested in joining. Then we get it to you, and you could always have input into it.
Yeah, I think we'd like to look at it.
Say it. Who would it be addressed to?
To the leadership at the MTA and the railroads. We, technically, theoretically, the MTA board does fare policy. Practically, who knows who does fare policy? I mean, no, we have an idea, but
It's not the board.
well, not our members because they can't vote. But and there are certainly leaders within the MTA structure who have input into it.
Yeah, but the board members from Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk, they should have heard some of these complaints. It's also been in the press clips if they read them. So this is not in the newspapers. I mean, it's not news. They want to respond to their constituents.
Some of the, at least on LIRCC, some of the sentiment was that a lot of these issues were raised by our members during the testimony phase and the hearing phase, warning the railroads that this would happen. And now it's happened and the railroads are saying, oh, we'll take feedback into consideration, when we did in fact write about this many months ago.
You fed forward.
Yes.
Right.
I'm gonna say we saw the future.
So we considered all the comments that were made at all of the public hearings.
And so in this communication that you write, it might be nice to remind them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, depending on what it says, I'd like to see what it says, and if it says we agree with it, we should sign off on it.
Yeah, you'll definitely see it.
So in that case, then if somebody would make a motion, that if you do agree with it, you would sign on to it. And then if somebody seconds it, then.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, Richard. Yeah. Makes a motion. Yeah.
Yes.
And a
Who's
second.
second?
Okay,
Second.
excellent. Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we've approved this pending approval by, you're gonna email it out to everybody for their approval?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that done next week so that we can raise it in our testimony at the joint committee meeting a week from Monday.
But first we try and get it so that you all can provide input, and then also we can get it to the MTA. So it's, yeah, I mean, now Andy's heard it. I had a conversation with some of the Long Island Railroad leadership, who was trapped in a car with me for some period of time.
One thing I'll just throw out, this may be beyond the scope of this letter, but we did testify in the hearings about the danger of just making these fare changes too complex every 2 years. And I suspect, I haven't heard explicitly, that MTA management thinks that this was a good time to do a lot of complex changes because they were doing so many things with the Metro card and Omni at the same time that they kind of got a pass. But we may want to reiterate, because we'll be back here in 2 years, and the idea of just tweaking this every 2 years back and forth doesn't seem like a very good answer.
Yeah. And I assume that if there's some part of this that we think should be changed to it, tweet it a little, or if there's something we think should be added to it, that they're willing to negotiate this with us, or at least talk to us. Whoever these people are, the Long Island Council, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they're very. I think that their level of unhappiness is a little higher.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. It's a different. It's I don't know. It's just different. It was. It's similar to when we presented the concept of sort of fare rationalization based on distance, and there was less of a enthusiasm in this council than in that council.
Well, the one thing I think we should keep in mind when we're communicating and responding internally about this is, again, this was a big, major change. There's a lot of different moving pieces. It is now not even January 31st. It's early, in my opinion, to be in the mode of saying, okay, you need to change all this. So my only caution is we should be looking at core, rational, logical recommendations and acknowledge that these others were made, but we want to give it another 6 months to see how viable it is. But I mean, me personally, I don't ride all along. I mean, I don't ride regularly, but I'm processing. Okay, I can't buy the ticket tonight, but yeah, I can buy it tomorrow before I leave my house, and that sort of stuff. So it's a matter of changing, and it's important that the communication is reinforced.
The behavioral changes.
Yeah.
I think that the refund issue and not being noticed. Yeah. And voted on by the board, and we'll confirm that. I think that's something that we would certainly ask and have more public input to.
Yeah.
The other stuff was, I think, voted on. There was a lot of concern and opposition to, but particularly the 10 trips and the elimination of the round trip, and some of the things with the metro / on the transit side of
Mhm.
things, but that we continue to pursue, but, things that people didn't know about, they couldn't testify against.
Yeah.
And Andy says they'll be flexible and can go to customer service, but a lot of people, somebody bought too many tickets and they can't use them. It all says it's not refundable after 20 minutes or something after you bought the darn ticket. So a lot of people will say, well,
2 minutes. If it's
2 minutes,
in the
that's insanity. That is, I never thought it's a ridiculous thing. And so they'll just throw the ticket in the garbage and say, well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go and argue with the ticket agent. He can't do anything about it, and they don't, so,
If you can find the ticket agent.
yeah, good luck.
Right. Right.
All right, so we'll have something for you all to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Bye, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah, Jack,
Ask practically 2 hours of broadcasting.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, go Jack on the
Thank
top
you,
of our housing policy. So.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so, yes, again, I thank you all for taking time out of your busy day. I appreciate you being here and make a motion to adjourn.
And
All
Jesse,
in
thank
favor?
you for your wishes, good wishes.
February 19th, I think is the next time we meet. And,
I believe so.
okay, anyway, everybody have a great day and thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you.